what's the truth from your experience about marijuana and Kundalini Yoga?
Well, I think marijuana, when used with the consciousness that it's a medicine, and when you're using a medicine, you have to get the right dosage. But to use it just to get blasted is unnecessary, because you can get high in a much more clear way via Kundalini Yoga, via oxygen. But, you know, especially as people age, there's some tremendous medicinal uses for the herb.
How much weed can you smoke before Kundalini Yoga?
I don't recommend smoking it. If you're going to use it, I would get that full spectrum stuff and put it in water or tea.
Yeah.
You know, even vaping affects the lungs. If you really get good at Kundalini Yoga, you can get both the pituitary and pineal gland working properly, and it's free. Right?
That's right. That's right.
I took almost 200 LSD trips from 68 to 72. And then I met Yogi Bhajan, and he said, look, just try Kundalini Yoga for 40 days and really put yourself into it and see how you feel. And then I didn't use any drugs for 47 years. But I've been using some CBD with very low THC content for reducing inflammation in my knee that I broke in half a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah, okay.
As you get older, you start to get some aches and pains, and it's way better than the kinds of medicines that everybody's recommending. I mean, that the doctors in Western medicine recommend.
So why did Yogi Bhajan say that they don't mix Kundalini Yoga and marijuana?
Well, he was being dramatic at that time because we were, you know, 20-something. We had basically really done a lot of damage to our nervous systems, not just with overuse of psychedelics, but with cocaine, and some people were, you know, got into heroin. I mean, we lost a lot of great people, a lot of great musicians due to overuse. And so, moderation, and do enough yoga so you don't even have a desire for substances.
Yeah, sweet. Satnam.
I don't want to, we just don't want to lay a guilt trip on people.
No doubt, no doubt. No guilt tripping.
No guilt tripping.
No guilt tripping. Just education.
Education.
And experience from the wizard. I'm just going to keep the video on you, Tommy, because I want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to shun it or shame it, but I want to hear what your experience and thoughts are on marijuana.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
So first of all, this is a shame-free zone. This is a judgment-free zone, and this is a dogma-free zone. So right there we start with, there is no right and there is no wrong. There's only your experience and your desire, your hopes, your dreams for yourself. And the idea is for all of us to take actions that support us in moving towards the fulfillment, the realization of our dreams as individuals and as a collective. And I guess the question for each of you in this community is, how does you know, imbibing in cannabis in some way, you know, eating it, smoking it, whatever your deal is with cannabis, your relationship, how does that help you towards the realization of your goals? And I'm not here to say that it isn't going to, or that it will. I'm here to poke you and provoke you and confront you and say, the most important thing for you is for you to be the scientist of your life. So you have an experience with the things that you're engaging in. You pay close attention to your experience so you can learn from your experience, adjust if you need to, and then move forward with greater awareness and greater clarity because you've had the experience. There's one caveat to that. The scientist, you, the explorer of life, you only know what you know. You don't yet know what you don't know. And that's why each of us can actually benefit by being around teachers who are in a place that we might be attracted to go to. So for me, for example, my teacher my many teachers are people who have a certain clarity, a certain strength, a certain wisdom, and a certain kindness. And I just say they live from a heart-centered place, and it's very attractive to me. So I move in the direction of those people, and they help to guide me to the next place. Now for me, at this point in my life, it just so happens that none of those people are engaged in any drugs or alcohol at all. It doesn't mean that, again, it's not right or wrong, good or bad. We're not in that discussion. We're in the discussion of how do we take actions, each of us, each of you, that are going to move you towards the ultimate realization of you. Now, I smoked marijuana for a very long time, maybe 12 years straight. I had a love affair, a romance, and I got a lot from it when I was a teenager because I had nothing else. There was nothing else available to me that could clear my mind, that could open my heart, that could help me to deal with some of the challenging emotions I was feeling. I had nothing else available to me. As a result, you could say the positive things and the consequences that went along with engaging in that relationship with marijuana, they became manifest in my life. The positive things, well, I was able to pass time. I was able to get through my adolescence without blowing my head off. I was able to be, I had a lot of fun, sort of laughter and engagement with people that I might not have had otherwise. And the consequences were that it wouldn't let me go. It wouldn't let me grow to where I needed to be so that I could ultimately be free. It kept me in that frequency that I call the frequency of addiction, not because I was a fall down, drunk or drug addict under a bridge who couldn't get it together, but because I'm in the frequency of an addiction that holds me in a status quo, doesn't want to change, doesn't want to grow to the next level. And ultimately that caused so much pain for me because I wasn't able to spiritually grow or emotionally grow to where I wanted to be, that I had to finally let go of that relationship, and I had to get the upgrade, which I had not been turned on to. And the upgrade for me turned out to be yoga, breath work, movement, athletics, singing and dancing, tremendous connection with human beings who were on a similar path, unbelievable joy and fun in my life, which I never thought I could have because I'd built such a strong relationship with cannabis that was the thing that was required for me to feel connected to anything. And so once the cannabis was gone, I learned how to connect from my natural place, from my heart-centered place, and then my life, my dreams, my hopes, all the possibilities opened, everything started to take place, momentum started to take place, and I started to move towards something truly beautiful. Beautiful for me, which was a fulfilled life according to my own heart and my own spirit, and I no longer had to pay the consequences of being held in place, being held in check by something outside of myself that may have served me at one point in my life, but had stopped serving me a long time ago. So I hope that's helpful in some way. I just mostly as a yogi and as a teacher, I want to just encourage you to do your own exploration and to not live in any kind of dishonesty, especially the dishonesty toward yourself. Be honest, look within, move forward, adjust when you need to, and you rock for even listening to this. Love you.
Oh, Satnam, Tommy, that's so beautiful. Question, Guru Singh. I just wanted to get your take on marijuana and why Yogi Bhajan said don't touch it.
So, there's several perspectives regarding marijuana, cannabis. If you're inclined to be a highly sensitive person, then you will not need that stimulation. One of the things about cannabis is that it opens the synapse to such a degree that the signals travel much more easily. If you're dedicated and you are able to do the kriyas and the mantras and the meditations in a spiritual life form, you can open up to that same degree naturally and ultimately have it in such a managerial form that you can turn it off and turn it on and turn it off at your will. That's what has happened to those of us who have done this practice for decades. I've done it for 50 years in Kundalini and Kriya Yoga for well beyond that. At this point, I wouldn't touch any of that substance. I do use CBD oil, but non-psychoactive CBD oil, just because it's really good for opening up all of your body. But what I'm recommending is that you give yourself the opportunity to develop these same sensitivities without the use of a substance. And if Yogi Bhajan were alive today, he would not be so definitive in his rejection, because there are certain physiological structures that benefit from the use of cannabis. But for the majority of people who are just working to achieve a higher consciousness, a higher awareness, the use of cannabis can take away your ability to do the consistent work to achieve it naturally. So I recommend that you give yourself, if you're using cannabis, I recommend that you give yourself a 40-day rest from that and really practice some Kriya and mantra and pranayama breathing, so that you can develop a sensation of how it is that you can achieve those same states without the use of substance. God bless. I love you. Sat Nam.
Guru Singh.